Welcome again to Blue Garden Cottage. Lovely to have you with us. Hub is in the workshop working on a birthday present for somebody. The other walk-in stick is done, finished, handed over, and the person who had it for their birthday was very appreciative. The next one, you'll see. I'll show you when it's done. I've been taking photographs, so I'll just do a carousel of photographs and little captions to chat through it. But yeah, it's big progress. Yesterday we both got covered in super glue and paint and we're in absolute agony by the time we finished because it was an all-day job just doing 2 things. Be excited to see that one finished, and we'll let you know what that one gets on. But for now, for today, being a garden week in the usual schedule as I always intended it, I will give you a June-July garden update, and then I wanted to have a word with you. Wow, it is a scorcher today. Very nice though. We've had 2 days of constant misty rain, not much, but you'd never tell. You would never tell that we've had 2 days of rain. You can still see it there with the sweet potatoes that I've put in there, that the soil is still fairly moist. It's not grey dry, but that's because I mulched with quite a bit of compost. And over here you will see, if I can show you, that it's still very moist under there, and that's because the ground is covered. We had that almost 2 weeks of very hot heat wave drought type weather, and we've watered once in the garden, and then we've had this 2 days of misty rain that doesn't really get down very deep, but it has helped, and keeping the soil covered has definitely helped. They're not as bushy as they used to be in the good weather. Things have started to go over. I need to dead here. There's still quite a bit of work to do, but it's not detrimental if I don't do it. Gladioli are about to start flowering. Let's see how these Chilean guavas are doing. Well, they still look fine. They look okay. It looks awful from far, but that's just because they're tiny, and there's hundreds of them all over the place. So by the late autumn, early winter, we should have some lovely Chilean guavas on there, provided I keep up with the watering. Back there, elderberry, same thing. That is starting to recover more. It prefers it there than it did over there. But of course this year we've got the chicory, and the flowers are white. These are seed from the original plants that used to have blue flowers, beautiful blue flowers, which I loved, match the garden. Blue Garden Cottage, obviously. But they're all white. The roses that were once red are still white. The jasmine is still flowering, and it has boomed. It has just exploded. Okay, woodland corner looking lovely and shaded and woodlandy, and you can feel, just stepping from the path under the shade, you can feel the temperature difference. Last of the aronia berries to harvest still. All the others are in the freezer, but look how far it's grown. That arch about to be replaced. Oh, and the passion flowers. But this fruit evidence that the insects are around. Look at that. So yep, the garden is surviving the heat wave we've had. I need to do a little bit more watering and mulching around just to head up against the oncoming mini heat wave. But look at that. Bumblebees, butterflies, hoverflies, bees. Oh, they're everywhere. If you look closely at this oregano, they are everywhere. It might be overtaking the path, but I'm not cutting it for the very reason it is feeding all the pollinators. And a lot of people have been reporting that insects have been very scarce this year in their gardens. Well, in my garden, there's quite a few, and this whole bush, I mean, look at that. Can you see it? It's very hard to see on this camera, but look at that. So it helps to leave your herbs and some plants go to flower. Yep, we're still looking after nature. We're still protecting the soil by covering it. It's still all good. Here in the potting shed, that's my root parsley. The one I'm growing especially for the roots to eat. The lettuces are bolting, but that's fine. I want the seed. I'm growing my own seed. The catnip, looking a bit sad, that needs a good haircut and watering and feeding. Butternut should be way further along than that. They need feeding and putting in the ground somewhere. I have no idea where. Swede seeds. I know it's probably way too late for swede, but I don't care. It's from my own seed that I had in that other long bed, that side, and I saved my own seed. And obviously they're growing. They haven't been stratified, so they don't need it, obviously, and they're growing, so I'm going to transplant them next week. The carrots under here, they seem to be okay. The Borlotti beans, oh, they're doing brilliantly. Look, they're doing brilliantly, and I can feel the beans in already, so it won't be long before they start filling out really nicely. I just have to stay on top of the watering and the feeding once a week, just to make sure they keep growing the beans inside the pods, because that's what I want them for. So using the veranda for drying laundry. Oh, and those beans, oh, they're suffering. I need to water them. It's really hot under here, but the grapes are doing okay. We have fruit, so they need ripening, and they will, as you've seen them in the past, these are black grapes. But those beans, those are black climbing black beans, and I grew them from seed that I saved from plants last year that desperately needs water. I'll do that as soon as I'm finished chatting with you. These plants will all be going out next year, except for the Cape gooseberry, the quince, the rose. That'll all go out next year outside of the veranda. Sweet potato, I've got one in the back and obviously the others in the front, but this one's doing really fine. A bit sad, needs some watering, because everything under cover doesn't get the rain, obviously. Remember that, folks. If you've got plants under cover, the rain is not getting to it. You need to water them. And those are vegetables. The leaves are vegetables. The young ones are salad, the older ones cooked like spinach, and of course the tubers are the lovely sweet potatoes. My mashua has finally burst into growth, so I'm hoping that under there is quite a few good mashua. I have transplanted leeks into this bed, either side of the tomatoes. Whether they grow together or not, I don't know. Don't care. It's the only space I had, so they went in there. The mashed potato squash, to leave it open now for the insects to get in more easily and pollinate. Ah, there you go. They also need watering, obviously. They're looking a bit sad, considering we've had 2 days of misty rain, but you can tell it's not that good. Squashes, pumpkins, all cucurbits and melons. Obviously very hungry plants, so they need feeding regularly. They'll need a weekly feed as well. That bed, oh my goodness, look at that kale. Look at that beautiful kale, and it has helped this year to keep it netted to protect it from the cabbage white, because yes, we've had lots of cabbage white butterfly. Beetroot is growing in there, chard, beans, kale, and all that came through a bigger hole, all doing well. All of the blueberries, blackcurrants are finished, but the bees still pollinating. We're still getting raspberries, so this is a late variety. Oh, one Cape gooseberry over here doing fine but needing water. Like I said, oh, my asparagus gone to flower to feed the root. I don't get much out of this one every year, so I'm gonna have to change the soil. Things are recovering from that nasty blight we had. I've got a little pot of nettles there. Nettles I really want. One of the most valuable plants, even though I don't want it to go rampant in my garden. Feverfew gone over needs trimming. The marjoram needs trimming. Scorzonera is struggling this year. It does not like dry weather. So I'm going to have to stay on top of the watering. They are in pots, obviously. I've taken the net off the apples, hooray! And you can see some apples. But the codling moths have been around, so I imagine I'll be trying to cut out whatever I can rescue from those apples instead of chucking them all away. Two cooking apples on that tree, and 2 cooking apples on this tree. So this far this year, at least we still have some apples left. Even though we've had very high winds frequently this year, because I had it netted most of the time, we actually have a few apples. This one has got to go. As you can tell, it looks quite sickly. This, I think, is a Cox's orange pippin, and if I'm not mistaken, they tend to be quite fussy and have problems anyway. The stem, that is a bit of a nasty kind of canker, so it's not going to last. It will die. So I will cut off the top bit, and that and the root ball I will discard. The rest I will use the stalks, the trunk and branches I will use for firewood. I might just put that apple tree in instead, because I am, as you can see, training them. They're starting to be trained. I've started training the branches across. To meet up and be grafted together so that they are, is it pleached they call it? This big trunk is coming out completely because it's growing over the path, and there's you keep bumping into it every time you go there. This one, this leader, will be the one to come right over the top and meet this one. So there is method in my madness, and I might just get rid of this completely down to there, because that also keeps going into the path. And apparently, according to Monty Don, it's the summer pruning that I've not been doing right. I should be doing summer pruning to terminate the direction I want it to grow, so it won't grow back again. It's the autumn pruning that I have been doing that makes it sprout out. So that's where I've been going wrong. I need to focus my pruning to the training that I want. So summer pruning to stop it going in that direction, autumn pruning to spur, autumn and spring pruning to spur new growth. Do you know what we haven't seen? Look, isn't that beautiful? If you let your herbs and flowers go to flower and then seed, you will get butterflies, you will get your pollinators. More mashed potato squash in between tomatoes. Whether they're supposedly good or bad companions, I don't know, but they're growing well together. They look fine. I've yet to get fruit on the tomatoes though. And of course, beans. More Borlotti beans. And I'm growing them for the actual beans, not the pods, because that is part of my winter legume storage food. And you can see they're starting to get lovely beans forming, so hopefully those we leave on until they look totally dead. Those we leave on until the pods are going dry and brown, and are rattling when you shake them. Then they're ready to harvest, and you hang them up on their stalks upside down until they're even more dry, and you'll have a winter stalk. Now, I did not know what the bulbs were when I put them in here. I just found them in a pot, stuck them in the hanging basket. Said, oh well, if they grow, they grow, because I thought they were freesias, but they're not. They're gladioli. Aren't they beautiful? And they're growing in that direction. That's so pretty. Honeysuckle is trailing over now. The fig is so unhappy. It's got to come out of that big pot. I know they say you can grow figs in pots. I'm sorry. I need to figure out what I'm doing with the pruning of this one and the training and stick it in the ground. But I don't know that this is a good spot, because this used to be the frost pocket of the down part of the slope where all the water ran to. However, I am wondering if now, after these years, how many years is it now? About at least 6 years of developing this garden, putting trees in, putting plants in, raised beds, and the frugal mound underneath. Hopefully that wicks up some of the water, and the wood chips that we put on the ground in between the paths, surely that will help to soak up a lot of the water. And if I dig in lots of sand and grit and compost into the ground to make sure it's not too clay and heavy, surely the fig should survive there, because this is my south-facing corner of the garden. Anybody out there who knows what they're doing with plants, please let me know. These petunias were a surprise that they survived, because I grew them from seed I saved from last year's flowers. Ladies' bed straw. They're growing here. The bees love their flowers as well, so that's growing in here. It's a good carpeting plant, and I will make sure I put that in the beds as well, just to attract more pollinators. This is still a mess because I still have flowers to put out in pots. The shallots are still on there. I have been using them, and they are drying out nicely, so they will be sorted out soon. They're drying out properly under here. These will be used as framing for shelving indoors, and hopefully beams to support the strawberry tower that will go here. Kiwis, we had lots of flowers this year but no fruit, so I think we need another kiwi plant. I don't think I want to. I'll just keep it because it grows nice. And the passion fruit, these will purple up, go darker very soon. Again this year, only 3 fruit of the whole vine, but as it's growing there, I'm going to trail it along, and hopefully we'll get more fruit next year. But this 3 years in a row we've only had 3 passion fruit off the entire plant, so maybe it also needs a bigger pot and more feeding. My happiest surprise is this clematis that has come up. I didn't know it was in there. I forgot we even had it. I thought it was dead. So now it's here. I can put a little frame up here and let it go up there. I think it's not a climbing one. I think it's just one of those little ramblers you cut back every year. Good morning. Because it's the day after I started the video. Yes, I did need to charge the phone. I needed to sort out a whole bunch of stuff, and then every clip that I made of each section of the garden, I then, pardon me, I then had to upload to YouTube on private, download it to my laptop, delete it off YouTube, and then add the clips from downloads to the video editor. It's a very roundabout thing, but for some reason the video editor won't upload the videos from my phone, and I tried before to upload clips to Facebook Messenger and then download and then do the same thing, but Messenger can't handle the size of the files. So this new option of downloading it or uploading it to YouTube and then downloading it to my laptop files and then using it seems to have been the better option for the longer clips. Anything over 50 odd seconds won't upload to Messenger. The joys of tech when you don't know enough and don't have the right tech and don't have all sorts. But here we are. I am chatting with you. Anyhow, I hadn't had a chance. Usually by June, I do a mid-year review. I haven't been able to do a mid-year review this year. So I'm just going to leave it for the normal end-of-year review. All I will say is that all schedules and plans just kind of went out the window this year, and we're just doing whatever we can up to now. But I really, really want, I think I said in a couple of videos back that I really want to get my Kanban board back into that habit and discipline, because even though we've achieved a few projects, we have actually completed one of the birthday projects. We're working on another. There's still 2 more to do. We have actually got the windows, the double glazed glass windows in the painting studio. We have got some firewood in. We have chopped some, but there is still 4 of those big square long beams that need to be chopped up for firewood for winter, and I think we've got 1 mini heat wave left to come. We don't want the heat wave, we want in between dry weather but cool. So autumn is coming soon, and I mean the wood is already dry. It's been in a building for 200 years, so it's going to be dry. So yeah, we're gonna wait for the best weather to be able to do that, because we can't do it early in the morning when it's cool. During a heat wave it's too early, and there are noise pollution legal limitations where we are about the time of the morning, because I mean, besides which, we don't want to be antisocial neighbors. We are surrounded by neighbors closely, so since we're working with a chainsaw and an axe to chop that wood, it will have to wait until we have a cooler day but dry during the day. So we've still got that to do. I've got some more sorting in the front garden, and it's kind of gone a bit wild, especially where the that passion flower and the jasmine are concerned. They need some tidying up, and the wisteria. Yeah, everything else needs tidying up. Yeah, but it's I did work, I showed you in the video that I worked in the back garden on some things. There's still a lot to do, and not using the Kanban board, it doesn't help keeping things in order in my head and getting things done in the right order. We're getting projects done, but some things are being left out. I had started back up again on my book and the editing, so I told you I unformatted the whole thing and started again. I'll do it in the right order this time, because this time I consulted the pros, and it was so frustrating because I was just there, just that one little thing left to do. We live and learn when you're doing things on a budget with no experience, because that's all you can do. Then, you know, sometimes you just gotta bide your time and keep trying, and I am determined to keep trying. It will work. Made that bed upstairs, so that was one part of the project that was done. I've done some clearing out. I've moved the main bedroom around. What else have we done? I started making my own yogurt. I started making my own laundry liquid and softener, just because the ones I usually use weren't available anymore, and I refused to buy products that were cheaper but not ethical and not contained all nasties. And because I figured out how, and I can make my own. So that's one way I was able to make a compromise, because the ones that I really wanted, the ethical ones, are just way too expensive. The ethical cheaper ones for the simpler natural ones, they were just not available. Thank goodness there's YouTube. Oh my. And of course there's lots been going on externally, away from our sphere of control, that might affect us later as far as finances goes and availability goes. And so there's that of kind of stepping up our prep in to make sure that we can just buy ourselves some peace of mind. Still haven't started on my bug out bag or 72-hour emergency pack, but I've got the list made. So that's why I need to get back to my Kanban, so I can put all of the things that need doing urgently ahead of the things that just need doing, so that I can do things in order, in wisdom and in order. Don't want to go all crazy, don't want to be getting stressed. I don't want to take on more than I need to. And sometimes if I'm not using my Kanban board, that's exactly what happens, because I try to do everything that needs doing without putting them in the right order. So the Kanban board, for me personally, and making a list, helps to put things in order so I can do them the right way without adding to the everyday stress. And that's kind of how I want to do things. I want to be able to make my home, my garden, a haven, a protection, a sanctuary, because it's the one place that there's an anchor in life. So I have to get back to doing that and putting it in order. It's not about a control thing, it's about limiting stress, it's about limiting chaos and still achieving goals. It's trying to do those things on extreme budgets. So it helps to do that. So that's what I'm going to get back to. It helps to just give you this few-minute chat about that, because it'll keep it in my mind. I'll write it down, and part of my diary, I will put it in my diary, set aside a day. It is now the school holiday, so I have the grandchildren more often than I would during the school year. So there's even less time, and I have to squeeze even more into that 3 days. So I think the Kanban board's going to be essential for helping me to work through 6 weeks. Well, it's now we're through the second week, so 4 more weeks of school holidays after this week. So the Kanban board will help me to achieve the need to do's, urgently need to do's in order through that 4 weeks, so I don't have to get too stressed about squeezing everything that needs doing into 3 days. And some things are literally just gonna have to go by the by. I have to learn to just let go of some things, even if it means not getting videos out to you on time, because in the end, as much as I try to keep the YouTube going, family comes first. And as much as I appreciate the viewers and my friends, I love you all, but family has to come first. I'm sure you can appreciate that. So even though that's where YouTube is concerned, but there are other things that still have to be done. So that's just the normal running of the home and the garden and the writing, because that is the bit that has to be done. It is part of our self-reliance plan. So that is a priority as well. I have to crack down this mid-year review that I haven't done. It's now a month overdue. It is not as detailed and specific as I usually like. I'll put a clip into previous years' mid-year reviews, so and end of year reviews. So that's how I usually like to do things, but it's not been done this year because I've let go of the Kanban board. and all sorts of things that have to go out the window. But there you are. That's the catch up. The garden. Next week is homemaking. I will show you what I have done. That's another thing I need to complete. I need to complete it. It's, the make do seat covers for the dining chairs. I'll show you them next week. That's a homemaking week next week, and then the week after is a craft week, so I'll show you what we've been doing craft wise quite a bit. And then the week after that I'll share something else with you to do with the progress on the book, and what else was there? Just self-reliance in general. I'll let you know how I've got on with the Kanban board. So book and Kanban board to do with self-reliance. Wow. So that's the update. That is the condensed annual review, the glanced over one. So what do I want you to get out of this video? I have no clue. I'm just nattering with you, and I don't know if you're going to get anything out of it. I always hope that I do. In sharing something with you, I always hope that you get something out of the video of value to you. Today's one of those days that I have no idea what I'd like you to get out of the video, and hopefully you do. Just let me know in the comment section below if you actually find anything of value out of this week's video. And also don't forget, in the comment section as well, just do let me know what you would like me to cover and what you'd like me to discuss. Anything you'd like me to share that we do, or any how-tos. Is there any how-tos you want to know about? Let me know and I'll figure it out and I'll show you if I can. If I can't, I'll learn and then I'll show you. I'm gonna have to go now. Day's cracking on. I need to get back to YouTube and connect all the dots of these videos, edit out quickly, and I kind of have an hour left to do that. Yeah, and then I've got to quickly get dressed, get a quick tidy up in the house, get breakfast, and get on my way and have some fun together. Hopefully it's a good forecast. It looks promising in the sky. So I hope that you have a good rest of the week, and that I will see you next week. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, healthy, well and safe, and finding ways of working out your own self-reliance, finding ways of putting your own life in order, in the right order, in wisdom and in order. So I hope that at least out of this video you get, I'm thinking about it now, and I hope you get the idea that using tools to help you do things in wisdom and order without chaos, and do things in a way that will make it a joyous journey, putting your home in order and your life, anything, whatever it is you want to do. So there you go, folks. Until next week, have a good week. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.